An Oceanside historian was scrolling through microfilm when she found something unexpected, an unsolved murder. And now the decades-old cold case is raising questions about one of the nation's most infamous unsolved serial killers.
Did the Zodiac killer get his start in Oceanside? 10 News anchor Derek Stahl reports police are now retesting some old evidence.
The look of the Oceanside community of St. Malo hasn't changed much in decades, and neither has its reputation for upscale living.
Very exclusive neighborhood here in Oceanside. It's home of the rich and famous. Most of the people living here were from Pasadena, Beverly Hills.
And that's why it was so surprising when police found a body in this nearby alley in April 1962.
And this house right here, what was significant about that?
Well, the victim, Ray Davis, was found lying here in the alley. He had been abandoned. And this would have been the home of the former mayor of Oceanside, Mr. McDonald.
29-year-old Ray Davis was a cab driver, shot to death by his last passenger and dumped at the doorstep of Oceanside's most influential.
This is the first article that ran in the Oceanside Blade Tribune, and as you can see, the headline is Oceanside Cabbie Slain.
Oceanside Historical Society President Christy Hawthorne uncovered the forgotten case 2 years ago while researching St. Malo.
Ray Davis radioed and said, I have a fare, I'm taking them to South Oceanside, and then he was never heard from again.
But what really hooked her were cryptic threats the killer made to police.
So on the evening of April 9th, 1962, the Oceanside Police Department received an anonymous telephone call. The unidentified caller stated, I'm going to pull something here in Oceanside and you will never be able to figure it out. And then April 10th, Ray Davis was murdered.
Days later, the gunman called police back, claimed responsibility, and threatened to attack a bus driver next.
After that threat against bus drivers, the city took an unprecedented step. It put armed guards on all city buses and armed military police on buses heading to Camp Pendleton.
When you compare the really unusual similarities between the killer of Ray Davis and the Zodiac, you get these really bizarre, rarely seen characteristics.
Tom Voigt is an expert on the Zodiac killings in Northern California, which started 6.5 years later.
He had training somewhere to be a serial killer. And I really do believe it was in Southern California, and he worked his way north.
He says both cases involved attacks on cab drivers in wealthy neighborhoods, threats against buses, and brazen taunts to police. Ray Davis was shot with a .22 caliber gun with long rifle ammunition, the same caliber and ammunition used in the Zodiac's first Bay Area attack. Voigt says it amounts to a criminal signature.
Two different killers with the same signature in the same state within the same time period. I think it's the same guy doing all the killings.
And then there's the famous sketch of the Zodiac with a crew cut.
Some folks believe that he might have been in the military. Would he have been maybe stationed here in Camp Pendleton and committed the crime here, then went up to Riverside and then later on up north? I'm not saying that it's the Zodiac. I'm just saying there's enough compelling similarities to consider.
The cold case unit at Oceanside Police thinks it's worth considering too. After Hawthorne brought the case to their attention, last month a detective submitted fingerprints and ballistics evidence for reanalysis. They hadn't been checked since the 1960s. Voigt says solving this 29-year-old cab driver's killing could be the key to deciphering the Zodiac, who might still be alive. Derek Stahl, 10 News.
And Oceanside police got the results back from the ballistics, we're told. A lab has determined no further testing was possible. Police are still waiting for the results of the fingerprint analysis.